Somebody asked me how my Doom Nightmare run was going. It's not. I'm still playing the game. I've almost finished it. I'm absolutely loving the game. But I dropped the difficulty from Nightmare to Ultraviolence, which is a first for me. And indeed, if I had one complaint about Doom, it would be the odd difficulty level. And I say odd because I can't quite get my head around it. It's a little strange. Doom Eternal has the bizarrest difficulty curve that I have seen in a game like this. I played it on Nightmare for the first, I'd say the first 3 missions. I think there's about, 9 or 10 missions. I played the first third on Nightmare difficulty. And I wasn't sure if it was my age creeping in or whether the game felt a little more difficult on Nightmare than, say, Doom 2016. It's orders of magnitude more difficult than games like Rage 2, but I couldn't tell if it was a little harder than Doom 2016. It felt it. It was still doable though, and I was enjoying it, and I quickly got my mojo going, and as I said, I got about 3 missions, so it's about a third of the game. But there were these odd moments where the difficulty spike was just kind of annoying. For example, my first Slayer Gate, I think that was mission 2. Wow, that was insanely hard. I think I played for about an hour and a half, 2 hours minimum before I got that one fight mastered. And it felt really knife edge on Nightmare difficulty. Really, really knife edge. I was really determined to finish it on Nightmare. I wanted to, I mean, because I don't like to change difficulties up and down through gameplay. Oh, this fight's too difficult, I'm going to drop the difficulty. Oh, this fight's easy, I'll raise the difficulty. I like to pick a difficulty and make it through, because I tend... Thank you, Dread Pirate Santa. Because I tend to feel that if I'm having difficulty with a fight, it's because I haven't quite realised what I'm supposed to do to win. It's not that the fight's unbalanced compared to the rest of the difficulty, it's I have not quite grasped what tactics I need, so I keep going at it. But honestly, to be really candid here, I think Doom Eternal got the difficulty balance not quite right, because that Slayer's Gate was ridiculous. I remember doing it over and over again. The final time when I finally got it, I was killing everything, and I got the last boss demon flashing ready for the kill, and I'm slightly ahead, so I just launched myself, double jump into the air so I could do a glory kill from above, just come right down and stomp on his head, forgetting that there was a ledge right in front of me. So instead of doing that, I climbed on the ledge and he stopped flashing vulnerable. And I'm like, oh my god, no, I'm going to die now, I'm going to die. Thankfully, I did manage to kill him. But like, he was there, he was ready for the kill. And instead of just dashing forward and killing him, I wanted a fancy from above kill. Almost lost it after like 2 hours of trying with that fight. I was showboating. I was Prince... What was his name? Oberon? I was showboating because I was so bloody happy, and I almost... I was like, oh my god, that was awful. But I carried on, and I carried on until the second Slayer's Gate. It was in mission 3, and I really was... I mean, I was right on the edge of my ability. I really was. I was getting through the game, but I was right on my edge. And one of the secret encounters almost broke me. And then the second Slayer's Gate came out, and I was doing it for about an hour. And I just thought, I can't. So I dropped it to Ultraviolence. I'm afraid. I'm ashamed to admit. I dropped it to Ultraviolence. Now, the problem I'm having now is Ultraviolence is, generally speaking, too easy for me. I can play Ultraviolence without any trouble whatsoever. In fact, the final Slayer Gate, I believe it's the final Slayer Gate, and probably, I don't know, the last 2 or 3, I did without failing a single time. I just went in completely blind, and I felt like it was easy. I felt like it was very, very forgiving indeed, because I actually started doing things like, I'm in a Slayer's Gate. Now, for those of you that don't know, Slayer's Gates are like the ultimate combat moment, big arena sort of thing. You need all your skill. And I was in the Slayer Gates actually grinding achievements. I was actually doing the Slayer's Gate and checking my weapon mastery achievements and doing them, which you should not be doing. On the Slayer's Gate, on Nightmare, when I was doing Slayer's Gate, I was literally knife edge away from death the entire time. If you can't stop, you cannot stop moving. So this idea of if you played FPS games where you stop, aim, shoot. Yeah, no, not in Doom Eternal Nightmare. You stop, you're dead. So you've got to run, double jump, climb, aim and shoot all at the same time, right? And when you're killing something, if you see something vulnerable and you dash in and you do the kill, you already formulate a plan for getting out of that kill maneuver before the kill maneuver's over, or you're dead. So you go in for the kill and you're already preparing to turn and dash. It's like that. Ultraviolence, I was having fun with it. I mean, I had to keep moving. It was very high octane, but it was like, it was too easy. And so this is the thing. They've got 2 difficulties. One that's way too easy for me, and one that's so difficult that when the tough moment comes, it almost breaks me. And I think that shows some sort of balance issue. Either Nightmare is too difficult or Ultraviolent is too... Yeah. The other thing is, I am wondering whether the Slayer Gates were not meant to be done the first run through, and you were supposed to skip them. Same with the secret encounters. But if so, don't do things like that. The reason I say that is... One of the reasons I suspect I may be finding it a lot easier in the later Slayer Gates is I've got better equipment. And more importantly, I've got Chrono Trigger, which is a rune that slows down time when you jump into the air. And my absolute favourite weapon ever, the Super Shotgun, that now, I don't think it did in 2016, but in a Doom Eternal comes with a grapple hook. Getting such Catch the Flag Quake 2 vibes from it. That weapon alone, with the Chrono Trigger rune, totally and utterly changed my gameplay. Now, it could be that the sort of grapple hook style gameplay suits me because I did so much of it back in the Quake 2 days. I naturally use that weapon not just to kill things but to actually navigate. So I stopped having to be quite as good at double jumping and climbing because I would actually use the grapple hook off enemies to get where I wanted to go. I'd be fighting a boss and I'd grapple to an enemy near the boss and start going towards the enemy, and I'd be turning whilst flying towards the enemy, spraying the boss with fire, but because I'm moving so fast the boss can't hit me. I was loving it. And I'm thinking maybe it's just some level of equipment, or maybe the equipment gelled with me and it just made it way too easy. But I was not tempted to put it back on Nightmare, because every now and again it would throw a fight up at me that would almost break me, even at Ultraviolence. I couldn't find a balance throughout the whole game. There's this one boss called the Gladiator. I died, on Ultraviolence, I died so many times. The game actually gave me the option to cheat. It pops up an option when you die, load checkpoint, die, load checkpoint. I died so many times, it was like, load checkpoint with Sentinel armor, I think it was, and underneath it says, this is armor that will make you, almost unkillable. Don't worry, you'll still get achievements and we won't hold it against you. Now I'm like, bugger that! But that's how much I was dying. It actually offered me a way out, right? And then there's the Marauders. Now the Marauders, I can kill the Marauders, but they've got this really, really annoying creature they summon, this dog. But the dog moves so fast, but so does the Marauder, and they move behind you. And I can't turn fast enough when they move behind you. So I'm thinking part of my problem is I'm too used to Let's Playing now, and I reduce the mouse sensitivity massively for Let's Plays so I get smoother mouse. I've increased it a little for Doom, but nowhere near as much as I would have. I probably would be playing with 40, 50, 60% more movement speed back in my day when I was doing a lot of FPS. And I couldn't. If the guy zipped behind me, which they can do, I couldn't turn in a single hand movement, which is absolutely essential on that boss. You can't move and turn 90 degrees, then move your hand and move because you're already dead. You've got to be able to move and do an entire 180 instantly with a single movement, or you're dead. And I don't think I've got it set up really well for FPS, and that's partly because I'm currently too practiced at doing Let's Plays. I've got a toggle on the mouse. Oh, because it's not. I don't need a toggle on the mouse for it. I do have a toggle on the mouse for it. You can individually set mouse sensitivity in different games. You can set sensitivity in different games. The problem is because I've trained myself in Let's Plays now to use way less sensitivity to make the movements smoother, I'm just not quite as good. If I set the mouse back to a decent FPS game sensitivity, I'm not as accurate anymore. When you increase the sensitivity a little, you have to re-get used to it, or your accuracy goes down. So my accuracy is just not as good. So I was tweaking it up. Each mission, I'd put it up about 10% until I was getting faster and faster, and I could turn smoother, but still do it accurately, because you need to be able to turn fast and accurately. So software sensitivity does not equal DPI. No, but it has the same. It has the same actual effect. I get a nice sweet spot for Let's Plays that let me play but minimize my natural twitchy instincts. But those natural twitchy instincts work better when I play Twitch games. So that could be part of the problem. There's one or two creatures in this game that require a setup, from me at least, that I'm not currently running. But beyond that, it did feel like some of the fights were just so much more difficult than every other fight around it. So you'd be playing on, it doesn't matter whether you were playing Nightmare or Ultraviolence, you'd be playing at a certain level and you'd have a certain, and then you'd suddenly hit a fight that would just brutalise you. Or almost felt random. There was one secret encounter where you had to kill everything within like 26 seconds or something, but they all spawn in the room with you. And if you're on Nightmare, that's just instant death. It's like almost instant death. So you sort of need to have full armor, full health, full everything. Just you need to sort of. This is why I say I get the feeling you're supposed to go off, finish the mission, and then come back later on and just micromanage your way there with full health and everything to that one point, and then do it, because it was insanely tough. I got it. I did get it done, but it was tough. So yeah, overall, I would say Doom Eternal is a superb game. It's really good. I love the mechanics. I love the variety of enemies. I love the maps. I love the verticality, the movement. I adore the super shotgun with the grapple. I just have some small issues with the difficulty. One difficulty, Ultraviolent is too easy, Nightmare is too... Well, it's not. Actually, Nightmare is right for me, but on Nightmare, when you met those difficult fights, they break me. So it's like on Nightmare. Nightmare's the right difficulty for me, except the special fights where Ultraviolence would be the right difficulty for me, probably. That seems to be it. And that makes me feel like either I'm missing something or the game's not quite balanced correctly. But as I mentioned, it could be my age. It could. I may have just lost my touch, and unfortunately, certain of the enemies are beyond my ability now. Who knows? But don't misunderstand me. This is it's a superb game. If you're an FPS fan and you just love high octane combat, Doom's just got it. It's got it in spades. I even love the weapons. I love the weapons. You've heard similar opinions from younger players. Okay, so it's not just me then. No, that's good. That is good. That's good to know. I feel a little less embarrassed then. So, what are other players saying that the game's harder than the previous Doom, or are they saying that the difficulty seems a little erratic? Because that's probably my biggest complaint. The difficulty is a tiny bit erratic. You know, it's that sort of feeling you get of, I've got this, I'm brilliant, I'm really enjoying this, then suddenly like, oh my god, this is soul crushing. They upped the ante in some parts and it's more inconsistent. Okay, good, then I'm glad it's me. I'm glad it's not just me. And the Marauders and the Gladiator fights were just a tiny bit aggravating. They felt a little out of character as well for some odd reason. They felt a bit... I don't know how to describe it. There's a very specific set of things you need to do against those two enemies. But that sort of goes against the grain of every other enemy in the game. Because although there are some enemies where there are good things to do to them, there are easy ways to kill them and hard ways to kill them. And there are things you should probably do, like shoot the launchers off some of the big... I can't remember the names of them. The dudes with the launchers and things. You can actually kill more or less everything in game any way you want. So you can use your favourite technique even if it's not the optimum technique. It's just probably not a good idea in a big fight. So what you tend to find is you do become good at most of the skills. But there's these two... the Gladiator and the Marauder, where it's so picky about how you do it that it's actually, it feels restrictive. That's the way to describe it. It's not like it's giving you a better way to kill them or an easier way to kill them. It's just, this is how you're going to kill them or else. Especially when they start spawning ads, you can't even concentrate on them. This one where you had to wait for his eyes to flash, the Marauder. I'm like, I can't see his eyes. I'm looking around and shooting the other things that are shooting me. I can't be looking adoringly into a Marauder's eyes for 4 seconds while there's 1,000 things trying to kill me. and it's a never-ending horde. It's not like I can kill them and then focus on the Marauder. The bloody Marauder's going to keep coming and they're going to keep spawning. And I wouldn't mind to go and kill them. The Marauder's lobbing a bloody axe at me. It's like that. There's something a little stressful about it. However, again, I'm doing more complaining and less praising, and it's a game that does deserve huge amounts of praise. I've almost finished it. I don't know whether I'll ever play again, because oddly enough, they've done a really good job this time of the collectibles and all the armor upgrades. There's loads of things like armor upgrades, weapon upgrades, weapon mods, and... you can pretty much, I think, get all of them in a single playthrough. I believe you can. I mean, I've got one mission left. I've got a feeling it's going to be a long one. I'm about to leave my home base, and it basically is telling me you ain't coming back until you're until this game's over. So I think I'm going into the final battle, so to speak. But finding the collectibles is less annoying than... because I was actually planning on just ignoring them. I ignored them in the first one. I didn't really pay much attention to them. But what they've actually done is added armor upgrades that help you find them, and they're quite cheap. And you get them early on. And in actual fact, it really does help find all the stuff, all the lore, all the little collectible dolls, all the records and posters and things like that. Stuff that you don't need, but it's kind of cool that you're getting them. So they did a fairly good job with that. So I think once I do my first playthrough, I will have actually done a completionist playthrough without necessarily intending to at the start. So anyway, there you go. No. No, 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 no. I am not missing one. I got all of them. I got everything. I collected everything.